Hello everyone, welcome back to Crafts by the Bow. Today I want to use the Peaceful Deer bundle, and it's a set of stamps and the little matching punch, and also I'm going to use it with a coordinating free designer series paper. Now the little deer set is in the mini catalogue, and it's this one here, the Peaceful Deer bundle. And if you get the stamps and the punch, you always get 10% off when it's a new offering. So this only works out at $48.50. And to get the free paper, you need to spend $60. So if you're spending $48.50 on the bundle, it means you can get your adhesives or a pack of cardstock, and then you have enough for the free paper. And I love that it's coordinating. Some things in the Sale-a-bration are standalone items and some will coordinate, but this one is just free with a $60 purchase. And I want to show you one of the ways that I'm using it. And my layout today was inspired by my friend Diane Inkster, who has the Crafty Inkster blog and Facebook page. She lives in Ontario, and she showed me a layout that I'm going to not quite copy, but I'm going to be inspired by. And I'm using cherry cobbler, and it's just half a sheet of card. So I've actually put the sizes here for you this time. So it's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And I've also got 2 pieces of basic white, the thinner cardstock, and this is just cut at 4 by 5 1/4. And one will go on the front of my card and one will go on the inside. So let's just fold that down, and I'll use my bone folder just to press it down a little bit. And then this is the paper that we're going to use, and I have lots of scraps. I've been designing for a few of my other cards and classes, and I have some little 1/2 inch strips. I had some 1 inch strips. So what I did was I just chose pieces that I had scraps from, as well as I need a piece of this one, okay, with the little deers on. And you need the deers. You need this row of the deers, because when you cut out with the punch, that's the way the deer's facing. But there's lots of lovely designs here. You've probably seen some of the cards I've made already. I love these little trees, and see there's snowflakes, there's like little pine needles and stars, and the little deers. I'm actually using some scraps from this one and some scraps from the trees from this one. So let me pop that to one side and let's get the pieces ready. So we need 2 pieces that are 1 by 4 1/8. So the ones that I've got are these ones with the little trees. So, oh no, sorry, I beg your pardon. That's these ones, 1 by 4 1/8, with a little deer, and it's got the little checker pattern on the back. So I've got 2 pieces like that. And these are the 1 by 2 7/8 pieces. Now my card is going to be landscape, so I wanted to make sure that all my patterns run that way. You can make this card portrait as well. You just need to make sure that your patterns are running this way. See, if I put them on here, it's going to be upside down. So just make sure if you have a patterned paper that you work out which way you want that orientation to be. So I'm going to get a piece of my basic white, and this is where my little pieces are going. There will be a tiny little border. Now on Diane's card, she didn't have a border. She put it straight onto the card base, and you could certainly do that. I just want it to pop a little bit more for this card because they're all quite sort of darker colours. So mine, I'm going to pop like this. I'm going to lay it out first with just a teeny weeny border to make sure that it all fits. Okay, so it's just going to glue round the side. Okay? And it would be exactly the same layout if you were doing it portrait. Just as I said earlier, just make sure that your patterns are running the right way. So let's pop this on. Okay. So I'm going to start with the piece that goes across the top. I always find that easier. And then I've sort of got an anchor piece and I know where I can put the next pieces up to, or I know that it's straight to start with. So it will only be a teeny weeny border. You could certainly cut this a little bit bigger if you wanted though. And this is one of those cards, you know, that just uses up tiny little pieces, but makes a great pattern. You don't need to always use a big piece of designer series paper. And I love to be able to use the scraps up. I will use some on the inside as well. Oops. I'll pop this one across the bottom. And if you use the liquid glue, it means you can, if you think something's not quite straight, you can move it along. It gives you a few seconds of wiggle room. Okay, and last little piece. Oh, let's put a little bit back on that bottom piece there. There we go. Okay. Oops. So that's my pieces all attached. I'm just going to turn it over and go over it with my bone folder. Make sure those edges are down as well. Okay. Now while that's drying, I'm going to cut my deer out. And so I only need two, so I'm just going to cut these two. If you didn't want to cut these ones out, you could cut on this side and it makes sort of a very similar picture. You just don't have a little white border around, but the deer are a little bit chunkier because it cuts the whole of the it cuts to the whole of the punch shape, of course, and that's just a little bit wider than this. Because this, see, you don't get that white border around, but it's still really pretty. And it also cuts antlers and things out. If you want to put antlers on, you can. Just for this card, I'm not going to. Or you could even cut the antlers out on early espresso cardstock too. Okay, so I don't need this anymore. I'm popping it to one side. I only needed these two little deer. Now I've cut a little piece of white card that's 1 3/4 by 3, and we're going to put that into the middle. And this is where I want to use the stamp set a little bit. I'm going to use this set of trees. In fact, no, I might use this set. I might use the longer ones. Let me just see. Which one have I got out? I've got the one with the 3 trees. I'm using this one. I've got the 3 trees out. I think because it just filled up more of my card. And I've got my garden green ink pad, but I don't want it to be full strength because the garden green is quite strong. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ink my stamp up, and then I'm going to stamp it once onto scrap paper, and then once here, and then again. Okay. So you get sort of just a little bit of a variation in colour as well. Okay, now I don't need the green anymore. That's all we're going to stamp on there. Okay, and the only other one I need is going to be my sentiment. And I've chosen this one that says "Sending love and peace this season." You could choose any of them. They would all fit on this little piece. So I've just got my Memento black, and I'm going to stamp. I'm just going to move the scratch paper so I can see my grid, and then I know I'm straight. And I'm going to stamp over these trees, sort of in the middle here. Let's line that up. There we go. Okay, that's a nice little font actually. Pop that to one side and I'll clean those later. Okay. Now this we're going to put right in the middle here, and I want it to stand up on dimensionals. So I'm going to pop dimensionals on the back. You could also put a piece of designer series paper in the middle there if you wanted, and add a sentiment extra, or even stamp on top of the designer series paper to do your sentiment too. That would work. So you've got a little bit more of a, a gap between the card and the designer series paper on this one. I just need to make sure it's straight. There we go, that's better. Okay, and now this can go onto the front of our card. And let's see, I'm going to put it on with my stamping seal this time. And then I'm going to put it right onto the front. And see how that white just makes the whole card pop. And I'm going to do my inside. So I've got another piece of the white, and I've got two little strips of the designer series paper that I had left over from a different project. And they're only 1/2 inch wide, and I'm going to pop them just on the bottom here. Let's see, this is actually a bit too long for the card, but that's okay because I'm just going to chop off what I don't need. I'm just going to leave a little gap at the bottom, pop that right across. I'm just going to get my silicone mat as well, just so that I don't get stuck to my work surface. Okay, so I'm going to pop that there, and then this little piece, which matches some of the paper on the front. Can you see how the very top of his little head's chopped off? But it won't matter for the inside. He won't know. I'm just going to double layer that, just like this. So we've got just a little bit of the little red and black showing, and then just a little bit of that crumb cake. And then it sort of matches with the front. Let's just chop that off. Okay. And we don't need that mat out anymore. And let's attach this to the inside. Ooh, that was a wobbly line, but it's okay. Pop this on the inside. I like the insides to look pretty too. And you could do exactly the same little pattern on your envelope, across the bottom of your envelope. That would look nice. And then one of the little deer that we've got here, I'm just going to glue him on as well. I'm just going to pop him over here. There we go. Okay, now let's go back to the front. Now this is all dry, so I'm going to pop this little deer on here, but because this piece is already raised on dimensionals, I'm only going to glue his head, but I'm going to put dimensionals just on his body, just on the bottom here, to try and lift him up so that he's not you know, stuck down here and sort of all bent in the middle. Now I think I'm going to use my little dimensionals. Let's see. So if I pop him here, I then know I'm going to need one on his little bottom, and I can probably get one more under there as well. And if you wanted to cut the dimensionals down, you could probably put them, the little pieces, on his legs, but I'm not sure if I'm going to need it. Let's pop some glue on his head. And now can you see he sort of stands off from the card as well, so it's a little bit more texture on there. And so there we are, that's my little layout for today. And you could certainly add more bling, you could add a little ribbon, you could put some of your rhinestones on, you could even cut out some of these little trees and pop across the bottom. But I love that free paper. I think it makes a great card. So let me pop the little deer there, and I'll put the little stamp set there too for you to see. If you hop on over to my blog, I'll put all the details for the tools I used and for the stamps and the punch, and which books you can find them in. So thanks so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it, and I love having the comments on YouTube. So if you have comments or questions, please feel free to ask and I'll answer. Thanks again, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.